Hey everyone. Hey everyone, welcome to That's Peculiar. I'm Nathan,
I'm Andra.
and I have an episode today, which I'm
Ooh.
actually excited about.
Yeah,
Hopefully you guys enjoy it.
I'm excited,
Okay, let's
but
see.
I am super excited to share something with you. We've been
What?
talking for like 10 minutes and I was holding back even opening this.
You're gonna wait?
Yeah, this is a craft soda made in
Butterbeer!
Utah. Yeah, and it's by Soda Beers Brewing Company.
Okay.
And so it's alcohol free, it doesn't have anything in it. But I actually really like how this tastes, and it's kind of like not quite as because in Harry Potter they talk about like butterbeer kind of almost like, I don't know, I kind of picture it being kind of like sharp,
Really?
like sweet, but also like they talk about it like warming their mouths and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I kind of picture, for whatever reason in my mind, it had like more of like a sarsaparilla vibe
Okay.
to it.
Yeah.
This is good though. Like it's not, it doesn't taste like, those people that do cream soda with butterscotch and it just is like pure sugar. No, this is
Yes.
good. This is really good. So anyone who wants to get something close, try the Soda Beers Brewing Company. We are not sponsored. This is just fun.
That's so funny. Okay, so do you have a life hack to share or no?
Um oh, Jack just told me one just the other day and I forgot. No, 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 let me think. Hold on.
Don't hurt yourself.
I know, I know. I know I have a life hack to share. My brain is just mumbo jumbo. Oh, I have a gardening one.
Another one?
There is a way you can plant, and it's called the Three Sisters. It's like peppers, peas, and tomato. Look it up because I don't remember. But if you're planting a garden, look up the Three Sisters because it's supposed to help with growing your plants.
Like they help support each other.
Yeah, it's like you plant 3 specific plants together.
Yeah.
Jack's sister knows way more about it than I do.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. So look up
Ah,
the 3 sisters for planting your garden.
all right. Okay, so now that we have that, I don't know how long this episode is going to be today. So we're just going to kind of go for it. But what I want you to do is kind of imagine the night sky.
'Kay.
And I mean like the night sky where you can see the Milky Way, you can see pretty much every star
The camping
ever.
night sky.
Yeah.
Clear as
Yeah,
day.
like
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, so and I want you to think like in the middle of nowhere and you can just think like how much there is of it. It's so big. And but here's what you're actually looking at when you're looking at that big of a sky. The observable universe, and that's just the part that we can physically detect with our best telescopes. They contain somewhere in the range of 2 trillion galaxies. Um, 2 trillion. Our own
Uh-huh.
galaxy, the Milky Way, which is just one of those 2 trillion, contains roughly 300 billion stars, not planets, just stars. And each one is potentially hosting its own solar system, which in turn is
Mhm.
hosting its own worlds. So scientists estimate that there are about 70 sextillion stars in the observable
Whoa.
universe. Yeah, so just to put that into like how many that is, that's a 7 followed by 22 zeros.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yes. And so the crazy part is what we can actually observe is probably only about 3% of everything that's actually out there.
Right.
So we can only see 3%.
Which is why Nathan and I believe in aliens, everyone. We can't
So
possibly be the only people.
So when someone does ask you whether or not we're alone in the universe, the more honest question might be, how could we be alone in the universe? The math doesn't support us
It
being the
doesn't math.
only people. The math doesn't
Yeah,
math. And so the craziness and arrogance it requires to look at all that and be like, yeah, it's just us is a little crazy when you think about it.
I love how you put arrogance in there.
It is. I mean, it's such a big universe. Like, and you really think that we're the only intelligent life?
No,
And
I don't.
and intelligent is being very generous.
It doesn't mean I want to run into them, you know?
Yeah.
I because we've made movies that are scary, but
Yeah.
what if it's not scary? And what if it's cool?
Yeah. Okay. Since so since you know what we're talking about now,
Yeah,
keep in mind that we've also only been in space now for about 60 years. The universe itself is about 13.8 billion years old. And we've mapped less of our own ocean floor than we have the surface of Mars, which is also
right.
very interesting to me is that we can't even study our own oceans, but we're out there being like, what's on Mars?
Yeah.
We found out within the last decade that our own galaxy might have 400 billion planets. Some of them are sitting right in the habitable zone of their stars, liquid water, reasonable temperatures, conditions that on Earth are produced for us. So the question isn't really whether something else is out there, it's what if something out there has already been trying to reach us? And what if one guy in Los Angeles, a completely normal guy who spent his days building special effects for Hollywood movies, was the one who picked up the phone call?
No way.
Today we're talking about Daryl Anka, and this is his story.
Oh, okay, so I thought we were just doing, like, astronomy
No.
shit right now, and I was like, "Oh, cool." I was so here
Mhm.
for it, but
Ooh.
this is exciting.
So before we get into the part that's like crazy, I want to tell you about who Daryl is. Okay, so
Mhm.
Daryl Anka is he was born in Ottawa, Canada, in 1951, and if you are familiar, Daryl Anka is the first cousin of Paul Anka, the "Put your head on my shoulder" guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that song
So
just got really popular. I also like your singing voice. Like, if you guys could see how, like, he thought about the lyrics and then just sang it, it was good.
so he also is the man who wrote "My Way" for Frank Sinatra. So it's that Paul Anka. They are related. However, you want to look at that. Okay.
Okay.
So Daryl grew up in Southern California, and he eventually built a career in Hollywood as a visual effects, special effects designer. And when I say like legit, I mean Star Trek, the motion picture, Iron Man, Pirates of the Caribbean, iRobot, Live Free or Die Hard. This wasn't just a guy who was sitting in a darkened room communing with spirits and while the rest of the world went to work. He was working on film sets, he was solving technical problems, and he was doing some of the most grounded, detail oriented, prove it or it doesn't work jobs in one of the most
Yeah,
demanding industries. Okay.
okay.
And so why that matters is because when we're talking about someone who claims to channel an extraterrestrial entity, it's very easy for the brain to picture someone very specific. And
Right.
you're thinking of someone on the fringe, someone who never quite fit into the normal world, someone who looking for meaning in all the wrong places. But that's not Daryl. Daryl was a craftsman, a filmmaker, a guy who spent decades working on an industry that runs on skepticism, deadlines, and people telling you things aren't going to work. Okay.
Right.
So this is what makes what happened to him in 1973 even more peculiar.
In 1973.
Yeah, so keep in mind he was born in 1951 and he worked, and then this happened to him in 1973.
That's just
Okay.
crazy. Okay, keep going.
All right. So number one, Daryl is in Los Angeles. He's in his early 20s, early in his career, living his life, and within the span of one single week, he sees something he can't explain, and he sees it twice. Both sightings happen in broad daylight, and both happen with other people present, witnesses. So it's not just his own memory telling him what he saw.
Yeah, other people
And
have.
exactly, they could corroborate. And both times, what he sees is pretty much the same thing: a dark, metallic, triangular craft, about 30 feet on each side, three blue white lights, one at each point of the triangle, an orange red light at the center, completely silent and just hovering.
Completely silent.
Completely silent, just
Okay.
hovering.
Hovering.
So the first sighting was about 150 feet away. And then the second, which was a few days later, it was 60 feet away, which is closer than the end zone of the 50-yard line.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that isn't like a distant smudge of light in the sky that your brain could explain away as a weather balloon or a satellite. It's something that's there in front of you, doing something that an aircraft from 1973 or even 2026 shouldn't be able to do, which is silently hover.
And this is, like, less than a football
Less than
field
half a football
away.
field away.
Yeah.
Less than half.
Yeah, less than
Yeah.
half.
Less than half. So now here's what Daryl does not do after. He doesn't go to the presses. He doesn't start a hotline. He doesn't write a manifesto. He just goes back to work and he keeps building his special effects.
He's all, "Whoa, dude."
He's like, whatever, I'm just gonna do my job. So he just keeps living his life, but then something shifts because when you see something that your entire rational mind can't handle, you don't just forget about it, and it just sits there in the
Your
back of your
brain
mind.
starts, like, playing
Yeah,
tricks.
your brain starts rewiring itself at the rewriting the edges of what you think is possible. And for 10 years, Daryl carried this with him. A
Mhm.
whole decade of building movie magic by the day while quietly trying to make sense of something he saw with his own eyes but couldn't explain.
Right.
So that was 10 years. So 1973, he saw it. And then 1983 is when something new is starting. Okay. That's when Daryl starts to channel. So if you just flinched at the word channel, I get it because channeling carries a lot of baggage. It conjures images of crystal balls, dim lighting, and people in robes charging you $300 to relay a message from your deceased grandmother.
Mhm.
So this is what
It's
the
really
channel.
funny, that's not what I was picturing.
What were you picturing?
Sorry. I thought you meant he got, like, one of those radio, um, those, like, big radio systems that reach people from all over the ham radios.
No.
So when you just said that, I wasn't thinking channeling through him, I thought you were telling me he was, like, listening for sounds.
No, he was not using a radio.
Okay, keep going.
So this is what channeling looks like for Daryl. So he enters what is described as like an altered state, a kind of trance, and from that state, a separate personality begins to speak through him. And the voice is actually a different vocal cadence. It has a different energy, a different way of processing and answering questions, fluent, fast, and specific in a way that Daryl himself has described as something that he genuinely cannot replicate when he is in his normal state.
Right.
And so the entity that speaks through him calls himself Bashar.
Bashar.
Bashar. And Bashar has his own story.
Okay.
According to Bashar, he is a physical, fully evolved extraterrestrial being living approximately 300 years in our future. So, which from his perspective is kind of the present. So, he describes himself as a part of a civilization called the Sasani, who live on a planet called Essassani, which is located about 500 light years away from Earth in the direction of the Orion constellation.
Okay.
You haven't heard of Bashar?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I
So
live
this is
under a rock, basically.
So the Sasani, he says, are a hybrid civilization which are part human and part of what we would call the gray extraterrestrial beings.
They're
They are
gray?
the Greys. The Greys. You never heard of the Greys?
No. No!
Oh my gosh! Yes, there's all kinds of like different kinds of extraterrestrial um I want to say class types. So like there's like reptilian, the Gray, the Anunnaki.
What is the gray?
The
Are
Gray
they
is
dressed gray?
They're yeah, so when you imagine the Greys, they kind of have a similar human build. They have, like the thin, tall frame, they have, like, kind of a bigger head, no hair, no, like, features really, and then they have the big eyes.
Okay.
Greys, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. So they're what would be our future descendants because they're a hybrid of human and gray, okay?
Okay. If we decided to breed with the grays.
Yes.
Okay.
Or not that we bred, maybe they just took our DNA and started, like, making babies.
Making babies. They don't
Sure.
need us
They
as
don't need us,
carriers.
they just
Yeah.
need our they just need our DNA.
Okay.
So, Bashar also has described himself specifically as the future version of Daryl. So not a separate alien who chose a guy in LA, but the evolved future self of the man he speaks through.
Right. Okay.
You still with me?
Yes.
No question?
No.
Okay. So Bashar has a core teaching, and that is the thing that has drawn hundreds of thousands of followers over 4 decades of public sessions.
Teachings?
Yes,
Now I have
I
questions.
I cannot wait. Yeah. So what is your question?
No, just go, but like
Okay.
what?
Yes. Okay. So so Bashar and Daryl will do public sessions, and so he has one of his biggest teachings, which is simple, which is follow your highest excitement in every moment. So you act on it to the best of your ability and release all attachment from the outcome. That's it. Uh, there are layers of course that are beneath it, like parallel realities, frequency
Basically
based.
sounds like some Buddhism
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
wrapped in a bow.
ultimately, kinda, yeah. But I mean, because it's like extraterrestrial type in nature, there's parallel realities, frequency based reality shifting, and the nature of consciousness. But at the core, it's simple enough to put on a bumper sticker, which is just a sign of the elegant truth or brilliant marketing, depending on how you're going to look at it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I think.
Okay. Daryl has been doing this publicly, these sessions, since 1984, which are paid seminars, international events, and decades of recorded sessions in which audience members will be able to ask questions, and Bashar answers them in real time without hesitation on topics ranging from quantum physics to grief and to the nature of time.
Wait, how does he get his altered state to show up for the seminars?
So Daryl will like come in and he like introduces himself, talks about Bashar, blah 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 blah, what to expect, and then he'll sit there and then he like goes into a trance basically, and he gets his body into a state where Bashar's energy can come into him and then speak through him
For paid seminars?
for paid seminars. And for
Okay.
40 years, nobody has caught him in a lie.
How do you mean? Like, there's no, like, weird, tricky
Yeah, no one's been able to clock him for whatever reason.
but if it is him doing it,
Uh-huh.
how would they catch him?
If it's him doing what?
If it's him who is also Bashar, what if him
Oh,
and the one are the same?
so if Bashar and Daryl are actually the same well, technically, according to Bashar, Daryl and Bashar are the same person, just from the future.
Right, but I just mean, like, what if he's not actually going into an altered state and this is all a facade?
Oh, and he's just being a scam artist?
Yeah.
Huh. But I mean, he's been doing it successfully for 40 years and still does it today.
Yeah, there's people that
Okay, since you asked that question,
there are
we're gonna
people that
talk
used to
about
buy green ketchup. I was gonna say something else.
and purple.
Yeah, okay, there we have bought ketchup that's green as human
Yeah.
beings. So, I'm not surprised that a seminar might sell out.
Okay, so since you have brought that up, I do have something that's very interesting that you that's more tangible, I guess, for
Okay,
you to
I
all
need
right?
tangible.
Okay, so Daryl knows the obvious question that he's been living with it for 40 years. How do we know it's real?
Mhm,
How do we know he's not just a very talented performer who worked in Hollywood, who found a career doing things around performance and that kind of nature, right?
right.
So that's a fair question. And Daryl decided to actually try and answer it, not by asking people to just trust him, but but actually wiring his brain to a machine and letting data do the talking.
Okay, what did data say?
So he actually had a documentary and it's called First Contact, and
Ooh,
Daryl underwent an EEG, which is an electroencephalogram.
okay.
So he actually did that while he was channeling Bashar. So the electrodes on his scalp were measuring the activity in the brain in real time, and his normal waking state measured and recorded, and then the channeling state measured and recorded side by side. And the results were not nothing.
Okay.
The, the differences between Daryl's normal brain activity and his channeling brain activity were described as pronounced, significant, not the minor fluctuations that you might expect from someone switching between like a relaxed and focused mental state. Something measurably different was happening in his brain when Bashar was speaking. Specifically, and this is the part that matters, the channeling state showed activity consistent with what neuroscientists call the gamma wave band. Gamma waves operate between 40 and 100 cycles per second and are associated with a heightened state of consciousness, peak cognitive performance, and what researchers sometimes describe as moments of insight or transcendence.
So
It's the
he was
brain.
reaching transcendence as Bashar?
Yes. So just to keep in mind that that level of brain activity that he had is the same brain state that athletes describe as being in the zone, the state that musicians describe when a performance stops feeling like work and it starts feeling like something that's like moving through you and
Uh-huh.
it's like speaking for them. It's that kind of vibe.
Okay. How do
Okay.
we know he didn't, like, just, like, take a bunch of mushrooms right before he did this?
Well, I don't know. I haven't watched the documentary, but I mean, I'm sure you could see him leading into the moment of that into the leading up to the EEG. Jesus Christ.
Okay. I am just playing devil's advocate here
Uh-huh.
because I do love this story,
Yeah.
and I want to know what happened and where is this dude today and what is still
He's still
happening.
he is still channeling Bashar and doing interviews on podcasts and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, I would like
Yeah.
to have Bashar
You can
do an
it's
interview on our
it's
podcast.
it's very interesting stuff. But also keep in mind, so I will tell you this that the EEG was not conducted for Daryl's own documentary, and not by an independent research institution and not published in peer-reviewed journal. The EEG was conducted for Daryl's own documentary, so there wasn't an independent research team.
Right.
It was not peer reviewed. It was just so they could be like, yes, when he enters the state, it's different. So the finding that something unusual happens in his brain during the channeling is real and it is documented. But what that finding means is it just tells us about the source of what Bashar is. So we still don't really know. So something
Right.
does change. Something does change in his brain, but we don't. We that doesn't necessarily prove that Bashar. is real. But it also doesn't disprove that Bashar isn't real.
Right. And I mean, to be fair, it is really hard to, like that's measuring the brain. I don't think that's something easy to fake unless he, like, fricking took some LSD or some shrooms or something right before doing
Maybe,
it, and he's all, "Check
maybe.
this out."
I mean, I could wonder. I wonder if they've done any more since then. But I mean, for them to actually have something that's neurologically measurable, it does make it hard to just say that. Oh, he's just doing a voice.
The
Um,
thing that also is interesting is it's not like he had to do this. He was
no.
successful. Like you said, he had already done large pictures, he had successful people in his family.
Hmm.
Why would he make this up?
Hmm. It's hard to say what it is or what it isn't because you can't just like make your brain alter states like that either.
I don't think.
So I mean, it could is it a deeply ingrained formative method performance? Um,
Is it, an actual schizophrenic moment where
maybe,
multiple
maybe,
personalities come out?
maybe, but we don't know.
Yeah. I'm thinking what's that movie again? Split?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I want to watch that movie. I've only seen like clips.
I'm thinking Split right now.
I'm sure if you were to measure someone with multiple personality disorder, something I'm curious because the state that his brain was showing is showing a very like meditative trance like state as opposed to somebody who has different personalities. It might still just show regular brain activity because it's
It
just a personality.
might, but oftentimes I think something is occurring in the brain.
Hmm.
So maybe multiple personality disorder?
Maybe. Just
Maybe
one though.
aliens so far.
Maybe. Okay, but okay, so but like we've established is that the universe is almost incomprehensibly large, and we've
Right.
established
And
that
this
we
could
can
happen.
and yeah, we've directly observed 3% of it, and we've established that a man with a legitimate career and corroborated UFO sightings began 10 years later, channeling an entity who has been answering questions coherently and consistently for over 40 years. And we've established that when that happens, his brain does something measurably different than when it's in a normal state.
Right.
So what if he's right?
Maybe he is. I can't personally vow to argue that because, you know, I don't know.
I know. I think about how big the universe is.
I just naturally question it because it's paid seminars.
I'm sure
Is
you
he
don't have
still
to.
doing special effects?
I don't think so. I think he only works with Bashar. Yeah, I know, which adds another kind of weird layer to it, right?
Right.
But if Bashar is real, if consciousness can actually extend beyond the physical body, and if time is not a rigid linear river that we experience it now, but is something more like an ocean with different points that you can touch, then what Daryl is doing is not crazy. It's just early. It's the kind of thing that looks insane from the inside the current paradigm that we're in, and
Right.
obviously from outside of it the way that germ theory looks insane before microscopes took effect.
Yeah, I know, I was thinking about, like, all the people that were told they were crazy and then they were right, so
Yeah, and like the same way that a heliocentric solar system looked crazy before we looked at it,
mhm,
history isn't short of moments of where that something everyone agreed on was possible turned out to be the thing that was actually happening.
right.
I mean,
Oh,
impossible. Sorry.
I knew what
So
you were saying, yeah.
yeah, and this is what gets me about Bashar is not necessarily as a believer, but just, the teachings are not internally inconsistent. After over 40 years of public sessions, Bashar has not contradicted himself in ways that would expose a performance. He
Right.
engages with questions from physicists, philosophers, people in genuine crisis, children, and the responses are not generic spiritual platitudes. They're specific and there's good reasoning, and they are also aligned with the emerging ideas of quantum mechanics and consciousness research.
Wow.
You don't have to believe Bashar is an extraterrestrial to find it interesting either, but you have to be willing to ask what if the universe is stranger and more generous than the story that we've been telling ourselves? What if consciousness is not just a byproduct of biology, but something fundamental, something that we can move, extend, commute across distances and dimensions, and we just haven't mapped it yet?
I mean, it could, and honestly, how freaking cool. Although personally, I don't know if I wanna be gray later.
Oh, who said you would be gray?
You're right. I just I don't really like the color gray. Why couldn't it be, like, teal?
That's your concern?
Yeah.
Okay, so the cousin of Paul Anka, Daryl Anka, Hollywood special effects guy, a man who looked up in 1 week in 1973 and saw two different sightings of pretty much the same thing and spent the next 10 years just churning that experience over and over in his brain. And then one day started speaking in a voice that wasn't his, answering questions he shouldn't have been able to answer with a brain that was doing something a machine could measure and science can't fully explain. Is he channeling an extraterrestrial? We really don't know. Is something really happening when he sits down and becomes Bashar? Yes, something is happening.
Yeah. Whether no matter what, whether it's real, whether it's a facade, whether it's a something mental within him, like, you know,
Yep.
as in, like, having multiple personality disorder or something, like, something is occurring,
Yeah.
and people seem to maybe like how he answers questions, and that's
Yeah. And we really don't know, but maybe, like we said earlier, the extraterrestrials might have been calling, and Daryl just decided to pick up.
answered he answered the phone.
He answered the phone. He said, "What's up?" And Bashar said, "Hello."
"Hello."
But yeah, that's Daryl and Bashar do continue to do work today. So
I'm gonna look it up, and anyone listening should too. I am so curious about this. Also, though, you gave me the idea for doing you gave me the idea for possibly doing, like, an astronomy episode. Like, we could
okay.
literally do an episode on just black holes.
Okay. But yeah, that's Bashar and Daryl. I don't.
I
You have
love
any?
it.
Yeah.
That I think it's fun. I love the idea, obviously, of something
Yeah.
being in the world, so I'm here for it. I just don't like the paid seminars, so
Also, just to throw this out there, I don't know how true this is, but I was watching TikTok today and it was mentioned that NASA was following an object that appeared to have course corrected and is now heading straight for Earth and will arrive in 16 days. And
like
according to,
like an object that will blow the world to smithereens.
or it could be an extraterrestrial craft. And I will also say this, according to Bashar, 2026 is supposed to be the year of disclosure where the world finds out that extraterrestrials are real and that governments have been hiding them from us.
Oh, that is
I just throw it out there. I'm not saying it's true or not true. This is just things that I've heard and seen online. It's the internet. You never know.
that is interesting, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I
So
guess we'll see in
yeah,
16 days.
take it with take whatever take whatever you want. This isn't a show to tell you what's what. It's just to put things out there that are
In
interesting.
16 days.
Well, today technically is Wednesday the 20th, so by the time this episode comes out, 14 days.
Right. Isn't that right next to Independence Day? Isn't that like July 5th?
July 4th?
Oh, June. Oh my god. Yeah, I was thinking it was July 5th. I forgot about June.
June? Yeah. Don't skip ahead, thank you.
We need all the months we can get because they're just cruising through. Okay, well, I loved it. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you liked it.
That was so fun.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Tune in next week for another new episode of That's Peculiar.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on That's Peculiar. Please consider supporting our show for as little as $3 per month at that'speculiar.buzzsprout.com and clicking the support tab.